Welcome to this Yaka Digital Network video. Across Uganda, places like Namanve and Bale are rapidly transforming. These emerging industrial hubs are buzzing with heavy trucks, new factories, and thousands of jobs. But what will these massive parks look like 50 years from now? Will they eventually choke on their own pollution and decay, or will they find a way to adapt and thrive? By looking at how other industrial regions have evolved, we can find a blueprint for what works and what fails. To see the full cycle, we have to look at a global giant that has already survived it all. That place is the Ruhr region in Germany. For decades, it was the heavy manufacturing heart of Europe. This map of the Rhine-Ruhr area shows exactly why the region grew so fast. Underneath the ground lay massive deposits of coal, and flowing right next to it was the Rhine River. When you place a massive energy source directly beside a natural water highway, factories explode into existence. This specific geography kicked off an economic boom, but growing that fast around a single resource brings serious risks. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Ruhr dug up its massive coal reserves to forge steel. The region grew wealthy, but the constant burning turned the skies black and severely polluted the environment. This diagram shows how they arranged their factories to save money. Moving heavy rocks is expensive, so the coal mine, the iron processor, and the steel factory were placed right side by side. Keeping them close made production incredibly cheap. This setup is called integrated industry. Once the steel was made, they loaded it directly onto a river barge. Because floating heavy cargo on water costs pennies compared to road transport, the Rhine River served as a cheap highway to sell their goods worldwide. This highly connected system generated fortunes. But by relying entirely on burning coal to make steel, the region chained its whole economy to a single, highly polluting path. By the 1960s, that path hit a dead end. Asian countries started producing steel for much less money. At the same time, the easy-to-reach coal in the Ruhr ran out, and digging deeper underground became too expensive to maintain. As a result, massive factories closed down. Thousands of workers lost their livelihoods. Because these people had spent their entire lives mining coal, they didn't have the skills needed for new types of work. Economists call this structural unemployment. Without workers or active businesses, the physical landscape began to rot. The massive metal structures and heavy machinery that built the region were abandoned and left to rust. When a town only knows how to do one thing, it has no backup plan. If the global market changes, the lack of other businesses leads to severe economic collapse. But instead of bulldozing the ruins, the government tried something different in the 1990s. They cleaned up the toxic soil and planted green pathways right through the old machinery. This is known as brownfield regeneration. Today, defunct factories have been completely transformed. You can now walk through lush, clean public parks built directly around the shells of giant smelting plants. To fix the job market, they shifted away from coal. They invested heavily in high-tech services, created new universities, and clean energy companies. They spread their bets across many different fields, a survival strategy called diversification. Restoring the environment and attracting new industries allowed the Ruhr to rebuild itself. This transformation shows that a region's identity can shift entirely, even after the mines close. If we look at this comparison table between the historical Ruhr and modern Ugandan hubs like Kampala and Jinja, we see two totally different starting points. The Ruhr powered its growth with coal and used water canals for transport. Uganda relies mostly on roads and railways and has a completely different energy base. This gives Uganda a massive advantage. Uganda can skip the dangerous coal phase entirely. By using modern, renewable energy like hydroelectric power from the very beginning, these new parks can run clean from day one. Building clean energy grids and strict waste management systems requires a lot of money up front, but it is vastly cheaper to do it now than to pay for decades of toxic cleanup later. Protecting the environment early provides the economic stability modern hubs need. It prevents the massive cleanup costs that eventually bankrupt older industrial centers. We can apply the hard lessons of the Ruhr directly to Uganda's Albertine Graben, where oil drilling is currently expanding. If the Albertine region builds its entire economy around pulling oil out of the ground, it will eventually face the exact same structural unemployment crisis the Ruhr did when its coal became unprofitable. The solution is to build a backup plan right now. The region must use the current oil wealth to fund new technology hubs and agro-processing businesses. If the oil runs out, the community will already have other ways to earn a living. Now, think about your own local area. What specific tower lines, schools, or transport links does your community need to build a clean, thriving economy? Sustainable industrialization requires constant adaptation. You can watch more videos for all classes here and get all content at www.yaka.cc.